Alright, so this is Jamie with Formidable Fabrications, and today I got a little project that I thought might be interesting to show you guys. So what I have here is a snowplow that mounts to a walk-behind, commercial walk-behind mower. So it doesn't just mount to the front. What you actually do is you actually take the deck off of the front of the mower, and what this does is it gives you two wheels back here with weight. And then the front of this thing probably weighs 200 pounds, rests on like a sidewalk, and you can plow a sidewalk. And since it's a V plow, you're essentially taking the snow and you're just pushing it out the sides. The guy that brought this to me said it's really effective in the snow. And it even has like a little divider here, so I guess when you hit a curb, or like, not a curb, but like the edge of a sidewalk or something, it would bounce the blade up. But as you can see, it's pretty much done. So that bend on the back there is supposed to be there. So this side, we weren't supposed to do anything with it until we took a close look and we saw like the rust. It's literally cracked with rust up here, and it just keeps going up. And this blade is just bent to hell. We're going to rebuild this piece and essentially just make this whole thing a little bit sturdier. So what he brought to me was, crap, looking at these are two different blades. So he brought me these two blades to replace these. And now that I'm looking at them, I'm realizing, because I didn't see him drop this one off, he dropped this one off later. So he was supposed to drop that one off to replace that side. And once we saw this side, I was like, man, you should just replace both. So then he brought me this thing, which is longer, and it looks like it might even be taller. So, and it's a hell of a lot thicker. It's like double the thickness of that one. That one's like a 1/16 of an inch. That one's like a little over an 1/8. So this one's actually straight. This one actually has a bow to it, which I was going to cut the supports off and rebow it. So, all right, well, that throws a wrench into things. Okay, well, anyway, that's the project at hand. We're going to fix this snowplow, I guess replace these two pieces. So first thing is to get the cutting edge off of this one, and then we just need to assess the situation with this new revelation of the sizes, see if it's something that'll work. And if it does, we'll start stripping these down. If it doesn't, well, we'll figure out what to do. And if you happen to notice the truck frame in the background, best I could tell you is stay tuned. It is part 4 of the Lodestar build. We're actually going to be doing some progress on this thing. So I'm working on it right now. I got half of the work done. I still got the other half to do, which is just as hard as the first half, if not harder. So anyway, stay tuned for that video. So let's get cracking on the snowplow. I feel like that could be used for something. I just don't know what, and I don't know if I feel like storing it. It is old. Okay, so I talked to the client, and me and him worked out something. So let me show you this. So this blade from the ground up is roughly 15 inches, depending upon where you measure it. And this blade from the ground up is 17 inches, but I need 13 inches, or I have to cut it down to 13 to avoid these rust holes. So that leaves me with So it leaves me with a 2-inch deficiency, which I need to put a cutting edge on this anyway. So I'm just going to raise the cutting edge up to like 3 inches above. So I actually get an extra inch out of the height of this, which would actually help too. And this plow is 46 inches. These plows I think were originally 42. So we're going to have 4 inches out the back, which would be great. This blade actually has been cobbled together. It's been welded here and down here. So this blade was originally a 42 and they put these extensions on it to make it 48. So what I'm going to do is cut off probably this extension, because this is like the worst looking one. The welds are not as good as the other one, and this one has more rust up in it. So that'll be good, because I can cut that off and get my 46 inches. And then this one, this blade, if I cut 13, takes me down to there, which helps me to eliminate this, and it will help with this. Let's see if you can see it here. There's a bow in here, but the bow goes like this. It's like concave. So if I cut the 13 inches all the way down, this will be a flat edge. And then the bottom and this top here will be gone. I only have a little bit to mess with. And then my plan for this one is to take off this piece of metal, literally take off this and everything else on here, and the same with this one. This one actually has a little bit more steel on it. Is just take all that off, except for those 2 ribs. And then I'll leave those 2 ribs on there. But anyway, so I gave him a new price for the job. And this is one of my customers. If you watch some of my old videos, this is the guy that brought me the 3-wheel mower that I made it was like a leaf attachment for. And he has brought me some really ridiculous stuff that is pretty rusty. And it's a 50-50 shot if I come through fixing this stuff for him. But this one I think I can work with. So let's get started and get this plow stripped. Okay, so these are all cut and ready to go. I think I'm just going to leave these pieces on unless they interfere with the mount. So definitely going to leave these on for strength. This little bent piece on the top. I got the cutting edge cut. Unfortunately, when I measured this out, I wasn't able to completely cut off one of these welded edges like I said I was going to, but whatever. So these are cut and ready to go. Now we have to deal with cutting this crap off. I don't think it'll be hateful, but it's definitely not going to be simple. Cut it here, and then up in there, and take it piece by piece, and then it gives me better access to get these joints that are welded. So let's get started on this. So here we are 3 days later with a mower in the garage. So the whole delay was caused because of this. So I got up the next morning, walked out to the garage to find this mower sitting here. So I brought it in, went to put the frame on, realized it was a couple inches off on each side. So I quickly called the customer and told him, and he told me to put the project on hold for a week or two while he figures out what he's going to do. He actually considered buying a new used mower that would fit this plow, because he had asked me what it would cost to fix the mount, so the mount would mount on this one, and I told him a couple $100 extra. And from there he decided if it was worth it to buy another mower to fit the blade or to spend the extra couple $100. Yeah, I know. So with that said, he messaged me yesterday and said, go ahead and move the mounts in to fit this mower, because this is one of his better mowers, I guess. So what we have to do now is cut off these brackets and get new brackets in further. And in the meantime, when I was cutting this off, I found that this piece was all rusted from the inside out, actually. So I got to cut this bar off, and then I got to cut the metal right there, put a whole new one on. That's going to actually be longer, and then weld this bar back onto the top of it. Now, the question you're probably asking right now is, why isn't he just building a whole new frame and being done with it? And right here is why. As dumb as it sounds, these angles that they cut on these pieces are perfectly lined up to the curve of these blades. So that is really my only motivation for not building a completely different setup that is much more streamlined and easier, just because I want to save these angles, and I don't feel like trying to find these angles again. Especially, they're not just cut on an angle, they're also cut on an angle this way and this way. So it's like a 3-axis angle. So with that said, I'm just going to leave these here. They're actually still in really good shape. I don't know how they haven't rusted out. So all we're going to be left with originally is these two rails right here. That's gone, and that's gone. So yeah, so let's get started. So off camera, I put these pieces on, drilled a few holes, and mounted these on the sides. And I did the same with this one. And I did cut off all the pieces here. I thought the camera was on, and then it wasn't. So sorry you missed the cutting off of everything. But so those are the pieces, those are the sides. That's the piece that stuck out. And right there is where the bar is welded, which is right down there. So I lined this up and got these welded in place. So we have to take one of these blades and put it on here to see what kind of angle we can get, because the goal is to get the most lowest angle possible. So instead of having a real sharp angle, I want it real low. So my plan was to do something like this. Well, actually the blade's too low right now. I need to raise this up a bit. Let's use this piece. Alright, so that's 2 inches, which is about what my cutting edge, that's a 2-inch piece. It's about what my cutting edge is going to be. So let's slide that under the blade. Set that up there. Push it into place. So that is roughly how this is going to be. This center line has to go down into here. Meantime, this center line right there has to match up with this. Has to match up with this corner. And then this is going to be the tough part. Okay, so I think you have a good view of this. From right here, I need to go straight down and cut this blade. So it's going to end up like right here. So it's going to end up being kind of like a little bit of an arc. So if I do the same with the other blade, when these two match up, these two edges should line up perfectly with each other. There's going to be a piece of metal in the middle here, almost like a divider kind of thing. So this should match up directly with the divider, and the other piece coming in should match up directly with the divider. Okay, so this is where I'm at. I end up trimming down that one little piece just a little bit, which allowed me to move the blade back a little further. I covered up the wheel. What I'm doing now is I need to find the center point of these blades. So I'm going to run this tubing here, the square tube. I gotta grind that off a little bit. There's a nub there. And then what that will allow me to do is run a line up here to figure out where I need to cut this blade. Okay, I think this is a success. So I need to cut this line right here. And then what I did was, you saw me put that straight edge up there. I literally kept my eye on that straight edge. Hold on a second. And ran the pen, this pen down here, ran this pen all down here, following that line that I drew while I was staring straight down. So I kept the pen right up against that metal as it went down and just followed that metal wherever it took me. But long as that pen was lined up with the edge of this, and this is the line it cut me. It goes right through here and then it comes back down around. So that right there technically should be the contour that I got to cut this thing to have it squared up to match the other blade when I get the other blade cut. The biggest thing is going to be making sure they're exactly right on both sides for both blades. There's no way that I can think of. Actually, there is a way I can do a mirror image of that. I think if I take this off, this face I can lay here and rock it, and as I'm rocking it, trace the line, and it should be the same line. Let's do that real quick. Let me cut this, and we'll see if I just messed everything up or I am a genius. Okay, so here is the piece that I cut, and this should fit up in here like this somehow. And when this flat bar is on here like this and the other one matches up, I think this will work. I think. I wouldn't say I'm a genius, but that works out pretty nicely. So if you look, you're eyeing up with this side of it. This is the center point, this side right here. And if you eye it up, it goes right down the center point. And that's a pretty good angle right there. This needs to come in, yeah, about like that. It's pretty close. It's actually really close. This needs to go back just a hair. So the blades aren't exactly square either. They're a little bit bent. But overall, once I put that piece in the middle and get them all welded, that's pretty much it for this thing. Like, I mean, this was the part I was concerned about the most, was making sure that these blades were going to line up perfectly, so I didn't have to do a bunch of extra welding or cutting or manufacturing or whatnot. So okay, so here we are. You just saw I got all this welded up, and I just took a few minutes and found a piece of steel to go in here as a divider, and I just had to kind of like line this up and weld it. I did end up having to trim a little bit off of this side and just a hair off of this side to get the angle right so they would match up better. But as you can see, that's pretty tight. And that is, it's a little bit of a gap there, but nothing I just can't fill in with weld. Might just like squish it in just a little bit. But you can see let's see. If you look right down there, you can barely see the tire on that side, and you can barely see the tire on that side. So all I got to do now is weld up that seam, weld up this seam, This is the divider piece I was talking about. So what's going to happen is the cutting edge is going to come out to here, probably like down. Well, let me take this off. Okay, so the cutting edge is going to come down to here, be cut on an angle. Looks like it'll end right here. So the cutting edge will come out to a point right here. So from here, I'm going to cut up, which is going to leave me, let's get you a better angle. So if I cut here, and go up, that's going to leave me like a ramp. So if they're using this and they hit like the edge of a sidewalk, instead of it just stopping it, this will like pop up over that edge of the sidewalk. Hey, well, there you are. Well, this is why GoPro sucks. I'm in the middle of talking and it said it had 64% battery life, and then it just died, and it said it had 1% and 0, and then it just shut off almost within like 2 seconds of me hearing the beep. So that's that. So I had to let it charge for a little bit, but in the meantime, I got that piece on there, and I have to grind some areas in here for this to weld to. Once again, my GoPro does it again. I thought I was recording and I wasn't. I swear I hit the record button, but whatever. I'm getting tired of this thing. But anyway, so I got this thing mounted back together, and now I'm just getting the gussets ready to weld in the corners. So I'll give you guys a few seconds. Leave me a comment and let me know how many cutting discs you thought I used this whole time. It was more than 10, I will say that much. So leave your guesses below, and on the next, I'll leave a short in a couple days here, and I'll let you know how many cutting discs I used. It was a lot more than I thought I would. So let's go over the finished product here. So I threw just a kind of a quick coat of paint on here just to cover up some of the weld stuff. We got the cutting edge on. I ended up just using the full 6 inches and just welding it across the top, tacking it across the back. And I didn't really have as much out here as I was hoping to, so it's just a small little ramp. So at least if they hit anything that's maybe 1.5 inches tall, it'll pop up over top of it, which will still work. But either way, this is way more sturdier and built way better than the original one. The only thing that I was not super stoked about was you can see a little bit of the wheel sticking out, but honestly, it was harder to manipulate these angles than I originally thought. I just was not able to get the kind of angles I wanted and not have to like keep cutting these weird angles on the front. I only had to trim them up once, which you saw a video a couple minutes ago. That was the only time I had to cut them, and I just didn't want to get too far and then cut too much off and then not have enough to make it, you know, find out I cut too much and made a mistake. So I'm happy with the way it turned out. It definitely is a lot heavier. When I go to push the mower down, it definitely has a whole lot more weight than it originally had, which is good because this pole is where he puts dumbbells on it for weight. I don't know how much weight they're going to need, maybe 1 or 2 dumbbells at the most, because this thing is heavy. But yeah, so there we go. That's another project for the books. I definitely put more time into it than I originally thought, but you know what? It was kind of interesting. I kind of enjoyed trying to see if I could get this thing to be perfect, and it definitely ain't perfect. It lines up, it's pretty straight. Not as straight as I would hope, but from what you can see here, you can't really tell. But it was just neat. It was just a challenge to get those curves right and everything. And so when I build the next one, I know exactly how to do it, and I can actually get it right. So once again, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. Hopefully the next video coming out will be me putting the rear axle in this truck. So stay tuned for that. I'm getting pretty excited. I got so much stuff to do on this truck, and so I got so much more footage. But please like, subscribe, comment, whatever you want to do. I appreciate it all. And if you know anybody else who might enjoy this, please let them know too. I'm at 600 and some. I'm just trying to break that 1,000 mark. That's my goal for this year, is just to break 1,000 subscribers. Then it'll really make it all worthwhile for me. I enjoy doing the content, but it would be nice to get something back in return for all the work I put out. So, but Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all that stuff. I'll be seeing you soon. Take care.